So hi, my name is Dermot. I'm about to embark on a grand adventure, which is to do the Araroa trail starting in 5th of November or so. Looking to do it straight through down southbound down to Cape Ranga to Bluff over 4 to 5 months. So left it a little bit late. I only decided a month or two ago, and been frantically planning, making gear choices from then on. So hopefully this will give you some insight around some questions of trail runners versus boots, and hydration, and the importance of keeping weight down. All these things are new to me. I've been doing tramping for a while. I've done a lot of mountaineering, but it's going from 2 to 3 day walks where you can get away with heavy packs and lots of gear, down to continuously walking for 4 months. So I was originally intending to climb Mount Cook for my 60th, audacious goal you might ask, but I was intending to build up, so I did a couple of great courses at the end of last year, but I realized this year put on a little bit too much weight, and really I'm probably about 2 years behind where I should be. I really would have been needed to climb a couple of peaks close to the height of Mount Cook and get those under my belt. So maybe I'll do it later, maybe not. So now it's the Araroa, which I'm really looking forward to. So it's now the start of October 2022, roughly 4 weeks to go. Pretty intense few weeks, very busy at work, very busy trying to get my place potentially rented, very busy doing gear choices and hoping gear would start to arrive. And I decided to do a section hike. I'm local, I'm in Kapiti, local to the Araroas. So I thought that's a good proving ground. Do a section, look at various gear choices I'd lock in, just have a feel for what it might feel like doing this for a long time, what purpose I would maybe look at, maybe do a creative project. I've not done a lot of videography and so on, so I thought I'd have a play with that as well. So this is my plan, to do 2 sections from Podes Road southeast of Leven down to Waikanae, 69-70 k's or so. So it's day 1, Friday the 23rd of September 2022. Getting going late, and I'd like to say it was deliberate, but it wasn't. I really should have been on the trail a lot earlier than this. Like, it's something around it's about 12:30. So it needed to be on this is an 8-hour day, I found out later. So, but that's just how it is. It was good experiment. So my experiment was to just see what happened if I just kind of got on the trail and really didn't pay much attention to notes. So I had a few questions as well about gear. So I've done a lot of solo hiking over the years. I usually have a decent heavy pack with lots in it, lots of safety stuff. I often do solo tramping, even through the winter. How's it going to work out with a really light pack? How's the hydration thing going to work out? Like I've just discovered, and don't scorn me, don't laugh at me, discovered water filters. I've never had a problem before, because normally I will just go routes that have plenty of water. I kind of stick the same routes in the Araroas, so there's lots of questions here, and so there's a few things around gear, hydration, and particularly electronics. How's that going to work out? So I want to try and do this as a creative project, work out some how it's going to work camera wise. So I lost about 3 hours at the start. When I left the farmland area, I actually went up the Waipehu hut route, the old route, for about an hour or so, till I, looking at my app and Garmin, figured out that I was pretty much off route. So went all the ways back, and then faffed around trying to find the start. So noting that that section of the track was closed. So ironically, I was actually on the right way. So the new track goes up the Waipehu hard track a little bit, and then turns off and comes down the six disc track to rejoin after the slip. So I went to have a look at the slip. Yeah, it's pretty decent. It'll probably take a while to get past that one. So water, I only had 1.6 litre capacity, which, I know now that's way not enough. I ended up overnight with about 200 mil, so I camped. I've managed to find the camp just below Mayo Point, not far off Mayo Point, but it's pretty hard to find any place to camp in that sort of bush, but I managed to do it, which is good. So had a nice little campsite. Rained overnight, but that was all right. So and then on to the next day.
So second day, just setting off, just on my way up to the hut, a couple hours away, just trying to conserve water, so a little bit, tiny bit dehydrated, but that's okay, I'll manage. Little bit tired, but honestly no different than I'd normally be hauling a 18 kg pack, so definitely need to get that down. But hey, this is probably the worst case, carrying 5 days food. Another, if I had to go 7-day run, it probably wouldn't be a lot extra. So, but that's okay. So feet are good, definitely. Shoes have been great. New pack's good, lots of great pockets on the outside. So yeah, onwards. So almost at to Matawai hut. This is probably the clearest ground I've had in a long time. Just been, just through the bush. So yeah, that was hard going. I think definitely I'll try and get base weight down to 10 or under. I think I just have to do that because it's just not worth it for those long days. So I'm likely now to probably add another day onto this. I was sort of being ambitious. I was hoping to go into the next hut, but I think that's a long day. I think with the slip and with having to divert, that would make this from Podes Road into, I would say for an average person, probably 8.5 to 9 hours. But the issue is there's no water. Like, I was lucky, it's raining, it's been raining all day, so there's a few ponds, so it's September, it's cold, probably 12 degrees, and there'll just be no water, so you have to effectively get your water at the very start, not far all away from Post Road is when the only water is, and that's a lot. So you probably, in summer you're going up quite a lot of elevation, so it's going to be grunty work, it's going to be hot, particularly in January, and you're going to need water. I would say probably 3 litres. I wouldn't do it less than 3 litres. I had, and again, lots of lessons learned here. I started off with just a litre and a Macadam 0.6, so 1.5 litres, and I would have been stuffed had I not found a muddy swamp and managed to use Macadam to get some water in my bottle. So yeah, there's no way I'm going further than this hut. But yeah, it's the shoes have been great. So I ended up going off trail. I'll put that story out in another video, but I ended up being waist deep in this swamp, and the shoes weren't slurped off. I learned earlier on yesterday one of the shoes was slurped off, so I hadn't done the laces up enough. But Jesus, if that had happened in the swamp, I don't have got the shoe. Literally, I was waist deep, and it was the shoes were fine. So luckily that lesson was learned yesterday. And my feet are absolutely fine. Like, it's just carrying 18 kgs all that distance in the cold, in the wet, it's relentless. So it was really, there was no nice place to kind of stop even for food. I just literally had a tiny bit of lunch on the go because it was just too cold and wet. Yeah, so nearly there. I'll enjoy my cup of soup. That'll be my first thing.
So 5 days turned into 6. I had food for 5 days, so it's a case of okay, now I have to portion it out to eke it out into 6 days. So really, my first 2 days should be done in one day. Had I started early enough and actually known the route and all those good lessons learned. So yeah, that's what I had to do is just say, all right, replan now, read the notes, look at the map, actually get serious about this. So experiment over, onto proper tramping. So I mean, if this looks daunting, don't think it as a massive thing. Like people, these heroic videos of going over the Araroa. So just be prepared. Like if you're going southbound or northbound, you've done a lot of Ks up to now, and it is steep. Take your time, have enough food, and then I think it's actually a bit, deceiving saying that you could do Podes Road to Paraguay in 3 days. You'd have to have perfect weather. You'd have to effectively be a trail runner, extremely fit. That's not an average person, I would say. So I would give it, 4 days at least, maybe 4 to 5 days. But again, it depends on your fitness. Totally respect, people are a lot fitter than me, a lot younger than me, a lot lighter gear than me, and in summer it's beautiful. So don't be intimidated. Just have a decent raincoat and have a layer or two extra. So if you do get caught out, have some extra food as well. Next morning, I decided I'd get going really early, so I was up at 5 on the trail at 6:30 because I thought, right, I need to go and make some time up here to go from Tamata Y Hut over to Nichols. And it was bleak morning, it was cold. I was really feeling the cold.
So I'm just between Timatawai Hut and Pukematawai Peak. I think that one's about 1,500 meters. It's bloody cold. I really should have had gloves. It's I don't know what temperature, but it's definitely probably well into the single digits. So I've got all my layers on, outer couple of layers underneath. So this is, I wouldn't want to at all get any less than the gear I'm doing. This weather can happen any time of year, so it's basically you can get this. I've been in Araroas in high summer and in this sort of weather, you just get a southerly coming through that stays for a bit and it gets really cold. So this would have been dangerous had I not had a decent rain jacket. And also just some over clothes. So gloves is what I'm missing. I think I should have had gloves, but there you go, onwards. So I'm about a hour from the peak. You can see it behind me, that highest point. So this is so typical of the Araroa. Like up there, I was thinking, you know, wind chill factor really close to zero. I had to alternate putting my hand in my pocket and holding my hiking stick at the same time. And so now, an hour later, like I'm down to shorts and shirt again. I still have 2 layers on top because it's still a bit of a wind chill. And
So
this is how the
continued
next
on
bit
the
looks.
ridge, still the third day, to Dracophyllum hut. Got there around about mid-afternoon. So I think, with a lighter pack and with, better fitness and reduced body weight, I'd probably be comfortable about doing Tomato Hut to Nichols Hut in one day, and certainly in summer without, energy sapping cold weather. But, Dracophyllum was good enough for me for today.
So it's just about 8:30, about to head off from Dracophyllum hut. So yeah, feel good. Met a very nice French-Swiss couple, first tiers. They're pretty early. They're going southbound. So that was pretty cool having a chat with them about gear and stuff. So yes, on to probably Nichols. I don't think I'll just, from yesterday's experience, try and do Waikanae, but I'll see how I go at Nichols. So pretty cool. Hands are chilly. Definitely need those gloves. I know it'll be warmer in summer, but still, southerly comes through. It's just nice to have that bit extra comfort. So yeah, talk later. So I'm in Nichols hut. It's about coming on to 4:45. It's getting really cold. Sun's going down, but it's a beautiful evening. It was a beautiful day. Took me about almost 6 hours to get here, sure, with breaks. I was dallying, contemplating, taking photos, videos, but 6 hours as opposed to 4 hours. I think at the moment 4 hours would be really pushing at me with my fitness, and it can be done. So the hut's got a beautiful view out. It's it's just tremendous. Just outside, it's probably definitely cooler out here. But yeah, so it's just beautiful. I love the Araroas. It just changes all the time, but it's bleak, and I have such tremendous respect for it.
So day 5, got some signal, managed to get in touch with work, let them know I was going to be a day late. Contact with my friend Alan and Dave, just through infrequent messages, trying to figure out what my pickup would be. But so on the evening in Nichols, so Richard and Tracy arrived. So they'd done a big hike from Timatawai over to Nichols. So it was good to have company. It was good to have a chat. And next day I got a second wind. That's the only way to describe it. Maybe stamina was kicked in, and I got going early, and I thought, oh well, actually I could go all the way to Paraguay. So I went on quite a bit ahead, and then eventually met up with. I went off trail yet again. Try to go across to find it. Eventually I gave up and went back up and came across Richard and Tracy coming down. So it was quite nice. So we stuck together for the next 2 days. It was good just picking Richard and Tracy's brain from, they've been section walking, I think all of the South Island they've done from Queenstown, and it was really, really good just having that extra information. And as Richard kept saying, which is stuck with me, it's your GRO, it's your TA, you do what you want with it. So it was good. The descent into Waitoa is pretty tough going. It's very, very, very steep. But I love Waitoa. So Waitoa I've been to a few times. It's means a lot to me. And we decided to do it was a beautiful day. We decided to press on and go the low river route across the river, which is pretty cool. So if you're going to think about doing that, you need to be pretty comfortable with going off track because it doesn't join up very well,
Quite
and
bracing.
the bit after when you get out of the river is not really marked, so you got to pick your way. So it's if you're not comfortable, just go the wetter route, which takes you quite a bit up and down again. But to Paraguay is pretty tough going, very tough route. I think it took us about 12 hours. We got there, I think, about 8 p.m. So it was getting dark. So unfortunately, we caught up with the French and Swiss couple, and unfortunately, hopefully, didn't make too much noise. But it was good to be at Paraguay Hut. And then the next day, day 6, it was starting off from Paraguay Hut, Otaki Forks. My original plan was to go out at Otaki Forks, but I thought, oh well, I could just go all the way to Mangoni. So it was pretty okay, like going up through woods and that the first 7 hours, and then fortunately we were able to get a lift from Mangoni South Road. So Richard and Tracy managed to contact the person they were staying with, who came and picked us up. So I didn't really fancy walking on the road to Waikanae. So I think I've started off this thinking, oh, maybe I'll be a purist and walk as much on the road as I can, but I can see that changing. So yeah, all in all, it was a real good test of gear and fitness and assumptions, and I learned a lot. So definitely, I'm super glad I did it.
So what did I learn? Well, big thing, of course, it's obvious, really. Read the notes. I'll look ahead at the track, a couple of days ahead, potentially look out for sections where might be tricky, or at least get to know the route. So that's the first main one. The second big thing for me is just water. I'll need to carry extra capacity, so I'll probably bring enough containers for max 3 liters. It doesn't mean I'm going to have 3 liters all the time. I'll have some collapsible bottles. So, and also the Catadin has been, tremendous. That's a revelation for me. Having been just doing hut to hut where I've had water accessible, being able to use that in situations confidently has been great. I think I definitely prefer the Catadin to the Sawyer squeeze. It's just an easier system for me, but I have got the Sawyer squeeze as a backup. So that's the second thing is just water management is do it as a continuous thing, because even in the Araroas, even the pouring rain, you're not necessarily going to get water collected. You're on watersheds, you hear it, it's tantalizing close. You might not be able to get to it. So that's the second thing is water. The third thing, again, it's obvious to people who have been doing this for a while, is the importance of really getting the weight down. On gear, awesome pack, the Gossamer. But what I learned about that is there is a compromise, weight versus robustness. So my Mac pack, big pack, whatever it is, 2.5, 3 kgs, is bulletproof. It's strong canvas. I can chuck that down on rocks, sharp stuff, and I've never had a problem. So I've had that for about 10 years. But my delicate flower of a bag is awesomely light, but I cannot chuck it around like I have done. So I just need to be careful, So absolutely the lighter pack, but I just need to be careful of how I manage it. So that's other lesson learned. Absolutely moving from my big pack to my light pack. And then there's boots versus trail runners. The trail runners have been tremendous. So fortunately, I got past potentially having a big issue with losing my shoe in a swamp. So long as the laces are done up, I had absolutely no problem. And this is somebody who's had boots forever, really. Anytime I've done a long hike, it's always been boots, and I'll still use boots in winter. I mean, my feet would get way too cold in winter, and I have other boots for snow with crampons, so I'll continue to use those. But anything, spring, summer, autumn, they've been tremendous actually. I've felt a lightness, and maybe, my feet are used to, having done so many kilometers when I was training for the marathon. That may have helped, but I felt no issues around with my ankles. But really, I'm very careful with my foot placing, so I think that's a critical thing. You just have to be very conscious, a bit more conscious probably, and maybe I skirted around mucky bits a bit more, but the trail runners are absolutely fantastic. Quite a few times I went off the trail, and something simple like I'm listening to an audiobook, not concentrating, and then I keep going, and then suddenly I think, actually, I haven't seen that orange triangle in a while, totally lost, and that costs sometimes half an hour, and having to just stomach going back again, just finding my way. So very obvious things, but when you're going along, it's quite easy to go a little bit awry. And even, when I got into swamps, I still didn't think, actually, this is not the way. It's only until a little bit, I was tired later in the day. So electronics, I think overall, yeah, I need to redo and have a think. So poles, definitely a second pole, and probably 2 new poles totally. So I've only got 4 weeks to go. So like I said, I've started late, but I think I'm feeling okay about most of it. My old Lecky was good, but I think having 2 is a lot easier. I'll still probably just use one through bush and going down, because I find it a lot easier to maneuver, having one hand free. So that's I'm moving on from electronics now, clearly. So Lecky poles, or whatever poles I get, I like Lecky.
So I think I found a purpose, at least one of the purposes. For me, the thought of spending 4 months or so on the trail is just wonderful, just sinking into thoughts and experiences and meeting people. But it's also a reflection. So, and a reflection for me on the place of nature and healing and uplifting and holding in difficult times. So difficult times means different things to different people. But for me personally, I've always been drawn back when the going got tough or whatever was happening, just to go and get away for a couple of days and let nature heal. So whatever it means, that'll be an interesting thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this experiment, gear test, whatever you call this thing, and can look at it tarot in a different way. You don't have to be daunted by it if you're looking at this from a tarot perspective, but also if you're just looking at this from, maybe you might do some tramping or whatever, some gear choices. Hope you got something out of it. So onwards and onto the trail in a couple of weeks' time.